Hello everyone, Anubhav here and welcome to a fresh new episode of Mr. Gadgetician, where everyone is a gadgetician and I talk about gadgets on your behalf. So today we will find about a very interesting thing. I have lots of questions about this, which is better, Redmi Note 7 Pro or Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. So we will find this in this video. So please watch this video till end to find that answer, and also subscribe to this channel if you are new here, and also subscribe to the Hindi channel which is Mr. Gadgetician Hindi. And so without wasting much time, let's just get into today's video. Let's go. So let's now first talk about the design. The Redmi Note 7 Pro has a 6.3-inch IPS LCD Full HD Plus display, and it has a drop notch, or what you call a tear down notch above, and this display looks very premium, and though the bezels are little thick here, but it has a Gorilla Glass 5 protection on the front as well as on the back. So it has a glass sandwich design, but the frame here is made of polycarbonate sadly, and there is no metal. On the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2, you get a 6.26-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD display. Here the notch is little bigger, and the display is not as premium as Redmi Note 7 Pro. In the Redmi Note 7 Pro, the display looks more stunning. If here the front is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 6, and on the back you get a glass-like design, but sadly it is not made of glass. It is a polycarbonate back, and here also you don't get a metal frame, you get a polycarbonate design. So on the basis of sturdiness, both the phones lacks here, and on the Redmi Note 7 Pro you get a better protection on the back with Corning Gorilla Glass 5. So let's now talk about the processor. Redmi Note 7 Pro has a Snapdragon 675 processor, which is a octa-core processor, and it is one of the newest processors from Snapdragon, and this performs as well as Snapdragon 710, which is a little higher end processor if compared to the Snapdragon 675. On the other hand, Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 runs on Snapdragon 660 processor. This is quite old now, though the Snapdragon 660 performs really good, but it doesn't perform as good as Snapdragon 675. And also the Snapdragon 675 processor of Redmi Note 7 Pro is clocked at 2.0 GHz. On the other hand, Snapdragon 660 processor of Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 is clocked at 1.95 GHz. So you get a better processing on Redmi Note 7 Pro. So let's now come about the most interesting area, the cameras. So let me give you a spoiler first. Both the phones don't have very good cameras. They really lack on the cameras. On the specs, on the sheet paper, it looks really good on the cameras of both those devices, but in real life the devices don't take really good photos. On the Redmi Note 7 Pro, you get a really good sensor of Sony IMX 586, and it is a 48 megapixel camera. So when you zoom in, you get a better clarity and a better sharpness. On the and the second camera is 5 megapixel. On Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2, you get a 12 megapixel Sony IMX 486 sensor and a 5 megapixel secondary sensor. So though the sensors on both those phones looks great on paper, but those phones don't really performs well in day-to-day life, but still the Redmi Note 7 Pro performs little better than Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. So Redmi Note 7 Pro has a 13 megapixel camera on the front, and Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 also has a 13 megapixel camera on the front. It also have a LED flash, so it will be very easy to take bright pictures on low light and even in no light with Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. So let's now talk about the battery capacity. Here Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 has a huge advantage on paper because it sports 1000 mAh bigger battery than Redmi Note 7 Pro. But though in real life Redmi Note 7 Pro's battery life performs as well as the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 thanks to the customized skin MIUI 10 and their battery management, and it is also supported by USB Type-C charging, and it supports Quick Charge 4.0 technology. On Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2, you don't get a USB Type-C charging and quick charge technology, so it will take really long to charge a 5000 mAh battery. On the other hand, though Redmi Note 7 Pro supports quick charge technology, it doesn't provide a quick charger on the box. The charger provided on the box is a normal charger, 5 volt 2 ampere. You have to buy separately a fast charger if you want to charge your phone quickly. So let's now talk about another deciding factor, which is the card slot. For some of us, the card slot is really important in a phone. Nowadays most of the phones have a hybrid card slot, but when buying a phone, many of us considers if the phone has a dedicated card slot. So here in Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 you get a dedicated card slot. On the other hand, in Redmi Note 7 Pro you don't get a dedicated card slot, so you have to compromise with the second SIM if you want to use your memory card. So here Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 has a huge advantage over Redmi Note 7 Pro. Let's now talk about the software. Redmi Note 7 Pro runs on Android 9.0 Pie on top of MIUI 10. MIUI 10 is the customized skin of the Redmi series of phones, and let me tell you that MIUI 10 is really good and it is well optimized. On the other hand, Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 runs on stock Android Oreo 8.0. As you could expect that with stock Android, Asus could provide a better update over the time, but in reality Asus is failing to provide good updates, or what you say, time to time updates to their phones. So I would say that you should go with Redmi Note 7 Pro if you want the latest software and more updates. Though I am a fan of stock Android, still I have to give it to Redmi Note 7 Pro for their MIUI 10 and better experience with the user interface. So if you want a dedicated micro SD card slot with some good specs, then you should go with Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. Otherwise, if you want futuristic features like USB Type-C, fast charging and a drop notch design, then you should go with Redmi Note 7 Pro. I would recommend you Redmi Note 7 Pro with over the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 if you want real value for money. Though Redmi Note 7 Pro costs 2000 rupees higher than Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2, if you have a steep budget and you couldn't extend your budget 2000 rupees, then you have to buy the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. It is a really good phone, but if you could extend your budget 2000 rupees, then I would recommend you to go with Redmi Note 7 Pro. So that's it for now. I think you will find this video helpful. If you find this video helpful, please give a thumbs up and also share this video with your friends and family and those who are planning to buy a new smartphone. So see you in my next video. Until then, stay healthy, stay blessed and always be happy.